Hey, what's good, everybody? I hope everybody's having a great night or day, whatever you listening from. Man, tonight is a redo of the stream I did last night because I realized the videos that I've been playing didn't have sound to it, so basically the whole stream was jacked. So I had to do a restream of the thing that I did last night, which was LeBron James rewriting history as always through his Clutch Sports media agency. So we're gonna go back to what I discussed, which is how they always change the narrative years down the line to reshape the history and reshape the narrative about his legacy. The thing that I wanted to discuss and put a light on in this one is him changing the narrative about the Russell Westbrook trade and how he, according to Rich Paul, which is his media agency and his agent, that he didn't want it. Actually, it was the Lakers organization that pushed for it, and because of them and their mishandling of the trade, it was because of them that the Lakers are in a bad position in the years following that trade. But I'm here to give you all the facts, all the history regarding that trade, which is why the Lakers are in a horrible shape that they're in the years that follow that trade. I think they're doing good for themselves right now. So let's see the first evidence that we got, which is him and his agent refuting the LeBron was the one who pushed for the Russell Westbrook trade. So the first piece of evidence, or giving you a background over what happened, is this. This is from Bleacher Report, and it says Rich Paul refutes rumors LeBron controls teams didn't make the Russell Westbrook trade. The article goes on and on about how appearing on the Rich Eason show, Clutch Sports CEO Rich Paul dismisses the false narrative that James runs the team he plays on and specifically cited the Los Angeles Lakers acquisition of Russell Westbrook in August of 2021 as an example. The Westbrook trade, he didn't make that trade, contrary to what people try to put out there. So let's stop it right there. That's the first example that I can make a whole series of Clutch Sports media trying to change the narrative down the line, years down the line. And what I wanted to focus on is just one example, which is the Westbrook trade, which is now they're trying to change the narrative. And if you see, the date of this article is May 25th. So it was just 2 months ago. So now they're trying to change the narrative over that trade after the debacle and the implosion of that team because of the Russell Westbrook trade. And now they're saying it's that LeBron James didn't push for that deal. So let's pull up the actual facts from the history. This is the first one right here. LeBron James reportedly preferred Russell Westbrook trade over Buddy Hield deal. A last-minute switch from trading for Buddy Hield to trading Russell Westbrook may have been fueled by LeBron James. Now you can see that. I'll give you even more damning examples. Here's another one. Hold on. This is Magic Johnson discussing the trade on ESPN. Let's watch.
The blame that he's got to take is the fact that DeRozan ended up in Chicago and not with the Lakers. He has
expand on that thought if you
will.
Why
Because
is that on
DeRozan wanted to play for the Lakers, and when I got the call from his agent, I called the Lakers, said, "Hey, he wants to come home," and DeRozan could have been a Laker instead of a Bull. We could have made that deal, but when Russell and LeBron and them start talking, that's when they nixed that deal and went with Westbrook, and he became a Laker instead of DeRozan. And I think with DeRozan, and then you had a chance to keep the role players, Caruso, KCP, all those guys who are our best defenders. See, they left. And that's why we were a bad defensive team. But if you signed DeRozan, you only trade Kuzma for Buddy Hield, we would be playing in the Western Conference Championship this year.
So this is Magic Johnson discussing the trade, and he talked like straight up. They wanted DeRozan or Buddy Hield and role players that they could keep, but now it was because of LeBron James. He talked with him and AD, talked with him, and that's why the deal changed last minute from having all these players to having this Westbrook deal that jacked the whole organization. So if you want to listen it, let's play it again.
With the blame that he's got to take is the fact that DeRozan ended up in Chicago and not with the Lakers. He has
expand on that thought if you
will.
Why
Because
is that on
DeRozan wanted to play for the Lakers, and when I got the call from his agent, I called the Lakers, said, "Hey, he wants to come home," and DeRozan could have been a Laker instead of a Bull. We could have made that deal, but when Russell and LeBron and them start talking, that's when they nixed that deal.
Did you hear that? They started talking. And there's a lot of articles that talks about how it was them. They had a meeting in his house and they talked about the positions and all that. And they nixed the deal to get Buddy Hield or DeMar DeRozan and went for Russell Westbrook. So no, Mr. Rich Paul, no, you will not change the narrative years down the line saying that it wasn't LeBron James who made that deal. No, it was definitely LeBron James because it was last minute and LeBron James pushed the front office into making that deal and they made it and their team got horrible and we know the whole story about what happened after that. So let's hear from DeMar DeRozan himself discussing what happened that time. Let's listen.
Good. I took a trip to Mexico.
The Lakers thing even remotely close?
Yeah, it was. To my knowledge, I thought it was a done deal. I remember I took a trip to Mexico just to get away because I could just feel the anticipation of everything coming to play. So I was like, I'm gonna get away for a couple days, take my mind off it. And by the time I come home, be free agency, hey, I'm signing with the Lakers. I'm asleep one morning in Mexico. I get a call from Cal Lowry, and he said, they just made the trade for Russ. What's going on? I thought the deal was done for you to go to Lakers. And I was like, I'm confused. That I'm looking at my phone like, damn, that did happen. Well, I guess that's out the window. Like, you know what I mean? Because in my mind, that was the only option for me to go to. Like, I was sold on that done deal. I didn't even enter
The Lakers thing.
Hear that? It was a done deal, and his mind was on nothing else but going back to the Lakers. But of course, because the GM couldn't help himself, he had to make himself like he's the person in the room, the smartest person in the room, and jack the Lakers with his horrible trade. As you can see here, LeBron James reportedly preferred Russell Westbrook trade over Buddy Hield deal. So he got nobody else to blame for himself. But that goes back to my point, is that LeBron James is a narcissist. He's an egomaniac. He can't have one blemish on his legacy or record without trying to change the narrative and revise history. He can't sit down and say, oh man, that was a bad time in my career. That was a mistake. And I admit it was a mistake. No, he got to change the narrative. He got to change the history. He got to tell you, no, it wasn't my fault. No, it was your fault. And this is just one example of many instances where he changes history through the people in his circle and in his agency. Like, for example, when Rich Paul says, no, it wasn't actually a big three, I can make a whole stream about that. Like, let's watch this video discussing Rich Paul saying, oh, it wasn't actually a big three in Miami. So let's watch this.
These two right here are trying to rewrite history and change narratives. And let's start with LeBron on his recent appearance on the Pat McAfee show.
Big four that Boston had, everybody talk about the big three, but everybody always decides that for some odd reason that Rondo wasn't as great as Rondo was.
Yeah.
This is a lie. They're called the Big Three and not the Big Four because it was 3 All-Stars from the previous season that got together. Rondo didn't make the All-Star team until the 2010 season. That's not to say he wasn't great before then, but he was probably good at best. When they all got together, he wasn't great like the way that LeBron is trying to paint him out to be.
People talk Big Three, but the Big Three thing has never really worked. And you say, well, what happened in Miami? That wasn't really a Big Three.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
See, what we're not going to do is sit up here and act like this team wasn't advertised as a Big Three. This was 3 All-Stars that got together. Chris Bosh was in the top 10 in scoring and rebounding the year before he went to Miami, so the disrespect is crazy.
Exactly. So to them now going back years down the line, saying revising history, saying, "Oh well, it actually wasn't a big three." Hell no. It was even more than a just big three. It was a super team. Like, what the hell you mean that this team isn't a big three? Like, look at this: Chris Bosh, Dwayne Wade, LeBron James. All 3 of them are in the top 10 of scoring. And Chris Bosh is top 10 in rebounding. What are you talking about? It was definitely a big 3. And for them to go back and try to change history is always infuriating to listen to. And that makes me so mad when trying to discuss things with the LeBron James fandom, is that they always take whatever narrative, fresh narrative coming out of the Clutch Sports media, and they throw it out there and everybody just eat it up without any discussion, without any looking back into the history of what actually happened. So these are just 2 examples of many times them changing history and changing the narrative, revising what actually happened, just because they don't want to have LeBron James have any blemishes on his history. He can't admit any wrongdoing. He can't just admit that sometimes in his career he didn't achieve or he didn't make the right decision or right calls. And he just can't live with that. Goes back to his narcissistic tendencies, his narcissistic personality, that he always wants everything to be handed to him. Like, you wanted to discuss the GOAT thing and everything, but if you don't want to admit the bad parts of your career, what is there to discuss when you can't even, I can't even deal with this dude, man. And I can't deal with his fans that trying to make it that this dude does no wrong. Like, for example, let's take what his actual coach talks about him when discuss when he's trying to coach him. Like, let's listen.
Better, bro. He's like, what you mean? I got this. I said, I don't care about no stats. You got to be. He said, what you want me to do, T-Lou? Guard Draymond, be aggressive, shoot the ball, stop turning the ball over. Anything else? He's like, man. I said, man, we need you to be better if you want to win. It's on you. He's like, so I stormed off. I go in the locker room, slam the door, boom. So we go grab D. Jones. D. Jones, man, your boy tripping, man. He's like, D. Jones, like, who? He's like, man, T-Lou. He talking about I ain't doing this and doing that. He's like, well, man, listen, I ain't been here all year. But everything I read is about how you trust him and why not trust him now? So Brown like, fuck you. So he go to James Jones. JJ, I can't believe, man.
Like a whore, like a bitch, like a scorned hoe, going from player to player trying to complain about the coach. When the coach told him, be better, we don't care about them stats, play better and stop turning the ball over, he goes to his teammates like a scorned hoe, talking about, oh man, the coach is talking bad about me. Man, this is the GOAT. This is the dude you're dying for, dying on a hill for. Man, I'll never take that dude as a GOAT. Because at least when you talk to me about your greatness, don't insult my fucking intelligence. Always changing your history and narrative and try to make it like nothing you did ever was wrong, or you made a mistake, or you didn't achieve what you're supposed to do. So this is one part or one stream about one thing in his history that he always tried to reshape. But I could do a lot of streams about Clutch Sports and their little podcasters when they try to change the narrative on their little podcasts, like Gilbert's Arena, or now we got this dude, Jeff Teague, now coming out making a podcast, and now we got to listen to him like he's somebody important to listen to. Like now they trying to change the narrative on Kobe. I can make another stream about them changing the narrative on Kobe and the constant disrespect thrown at that dude, not just because he's gone and he can't refute or defend himself, which is a bitch move. So I think I'm done for the stream. I don't think there's a lot of people in the chat, so if anybody wants to come up in the chat, there's the link right there in the chat. If you want to come up, I'll post it again. If you want to discuss LeBron and his Clutch client sports media trying to change the narrative once again, and every single time that he makes a mistake or he fails to live to expectations, he sends his media puppets to change the narrative for him, to shape public perception around this dude. So if anybody wants to come up, we can play the videos and the articles that we showed once again. I'll post it once again. And if anybody wants to discuss it, like here, when Rich Paul tried to say that it wasn't LeBron who pulled the Russell Westbrook deal, when it was actually him who pushed for it, like right here, like this article, and I can pull up many other articles that talked that was LeBron James who pushed for the deal instead of a Buddy Hield or a DeMar DeRozan. Like Magic Johnson discussed it himself when he talked about it was actually LeBron James who talked to Russell Westbrook, and they started talking, and that's when they axed the deal with Buddy Hield or DeMar DeRozan and went for Russell Westbrook. And I'll play the video again. Hold up.
What is fair to put on LeBron? Again, he's played great, but what is fair criticism of him for the season the Lakers
Well,
have had?
Damian, first of all, thank you, because I love listening, get my football knowledge from all your football. Ended up in Chicago. The claim that he's got to take is the fact that DeRozan ended up in Chicago and not with the Lakers. He has
Expand on that thought if you
will.
will. Why is
Because
that on
DeRozan
LeBron?
wanted to play for the Lakers, and when I got the call from his agent, I called the Lakers, said, hey, he wants to come home, and DeRozan could have been a Laker instead of a Bull. We could have made that deal, but when Russell and LeBron and them started talking, that's when they nixed that deal and went with Westbrook, and he became a Laker instead of DeRozan.
Did you hear that? He laid it out exactly what happened. DeRozan wanted to come home, and he talked to his agent, and they were about to make it a done deal. But of course, LeBron had to step in and push for Westbrook because they started talking, and because he wanted to be an egomaniac, trying to make himself the smartest dude in the room, and try to make Westbrook a thing with him, just to prove, hey, I can make everybody better, which is another lie in the Clutch sports media that has been pushed for years. He never made anyone with him play better. because everybody had to change their system. Everybody had to change their play style to accommodate LeBron James and his infinite stat chasing crusade. So we can make another stream that discusses how LeBron James never made anyone play better. We can make another stream that discusses he never guarded 1 to 5 efficiently because he got cooked so many times by a lot of players. So that narrative that he can guard 1 to 5 is bogus. We can discuss a lot of things because Clutch Sports Media is an infinite well of narratives and history changing that they do all the time. So we can do all of that. Let's play that one more time.
Because I love listening, get my football knowledge from all your football experts that you have on the show. And so when I think about it, the blame that he's got to take is the fact that DeRozan ended up in Chicago and not with the Lakers. He has
Expand on that thought, if you will.
Well, because DeRozan wanted to play for the Lakers. And when I got the call from his agent, I called the Lakers, said, hey, he wants to come home. And DeRozan could have been a Laker instead of a Bull. We could have made that deal. But when Russell and LeBron and them started talking, that's when they nixed that deal and went with Westbrook, and he became a Laker instead of DeRozan.
There you go. Right out of the lion's mouth. So no, Mr. Rich Paul, you will not change history and revise history to fit your agenda, to make your dude be bigger or make his legacy without any blemishes or wrongdoing. So I think that's about it. I think I'm done for this type of stream. I'll try to make another stream tomorrow or the day after. We can discuss a lot of things or the narratives that they push, maybe about Kobe or maybe about all the history that LeBron tried to change about his legacy, like 2011, 2007, 2008. We discuss his failures that they, for some reason, don't want to mention. So for now, I think this is it for me. Thanks for everybody who tuned in. Thanks for all the likes or support. Make sure you like the stream. Subscribe for more streams down the line. And I think I'm out.